It ends with the champagne. Scottie Pippen knows all about it. 6-time NBA champion. You remember that one?
Oh, yes. I had a nice shower after that one, 97.
in the middle of the second three-peat for the Bulls in 1997. What's your favorite NBA Finals memory?
I would say the one in 91, winning that first one, beating the Showtime Lakers. It was the best. I'd spent my whole life pretty much watching the Lakers, late night, Showtime, and having an opportunity to play against them in the finals and winning that first one especially.
You three-peat twice, so you understand how this all works, something the Warriors are trying to do now. Obviously, the advantage that you have is experience in the finals when you won the previous two. But what's the challenge of trying to win a third straight championship?
Well, I think the challenge is for Steve Kerr is to really keep these guys hungry and keep their attention span there. And no one could be better in that seat than him, a player that's been able to win as a coach and as a player. So he can prepare these players and just keep them focused and, you know, not let them look too far ahead, one game at a time, and not overlook their opponent. You know, the Raptors are not in the finals by accident.
Right.
They're a good challenge for them, and they have to be ready to meet it.
The biggest challenge in dealing with them, of course, is dealing with Kawhi Leonard. The Warriors seem to have a lot of different defensive options that they could throw at him. If you're Steve Kerr, how do you at least begin defending Kawhi Leonard?
Well, first of all, I think I would start with Iguodala. I think he's the guy that you're going to have to put on him.
If Leonard becomes a problem, do you go Draymond Green, maybe? Do you mix in a little play times? Or maybe even Kevin Durant if he's available?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to throw everything at Kawhi. Right now, he's playing as well as Steph on the other side. So you don't know if you can stop these players, but what you want to do is hope to try to contain them. But you're going to have to stop both Steph and Kawhi by committee. So it has to be a team effort.
Okay. There's the Drake factor involved in this. I mean, look, it's fun. And if you're the NBA, you have to love it to a certain extent because he's a global pop star.
Yes.
And he brings a lot of extra attention for the casual fan to the finals. But when you're giving the coach a back rub, maybe it's going a little bit too far. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it went a little bit too far when he's able to sort of put his imprint in the game. Fans are fans, and the players and the coaches are the ones that's supposed to run and hold the stage. And lately, in watching the game, Drake has been getting a lot more action than the coach.
You guys back in the day with the Bulls, you had Spike Lee in New York and all those Eastern Conference playoff battles. How do you deal with something like that?
Well, it's hard to deal with them. You gotta do what I did to Spike Lee. You gotta dunk on their best player and walk over and tell him to sit down.
Yeah, okay, I think that would work. All right, so Steph Curry is installed by the odds makers at Caesars as the favorite to win the MVP of this series. What does that tell you about Kevin Durant's availability, or what they believe about Kevin Durant's availability?
Well, I think they obviously know he's not going to be available for game one, and secondly is that he's not going to come back and be in rhythm. He's not going to be the Kevin Durant that we've seen. So it's a lot of things plays into factor. They're probably pretty right. Steph has definitely shown that he is leading this team offensively, and his leadership is showing hugely on the court.
All right, so let's get down to it. Who do you like? How many games?
Well, you know, being that I've been a champ a few times, I got to stick with the Warriors, you know. I was never knocked out as a champ, so I don't think these champs are going to be knocked out.
All right. We enjoy having him here, but you can catch him every day on The Jump with Rachel Nichols. Scottie, we appreciate it, my man.
Stan, thank you for having me.
Magic Johnson quit.
It's an embarrassing episode for this organization, for this franchise.
People around the Laker office was telling me Rob was saying things, and I didn't like those things being said behind my back. If you're going to talk betrayal, it's only with Rob. You know how many agents called me and said, you got to watch out for him. But I'm still pulling for the Lakers. I'm still a Laker, and I will always be a Laker.
First thing I hear Tuesday morning, my friend Dr. Roy, he says, did you read that story on the Lakers on ESPN.com? If you haven't read it, you should. There it is, Lakers 2.0, the failed reboot of the NBA's crown jewel. Baxter Holmes spent a year digging through the well-publicized Lakers dysfunction. Well, what he found was this. Through all the chaos, where was owner Jeannie Bussin? Where is she now? When Magic Johnson quit, got nothing from her. Her name was absent from the release when Luke Walton was fired. And she wasn't present and wouldn't address reporters when Coach Frank Vogel was hired. Where's Jeannie? Magic Johnson's relationship with general manager Rob Pelinka, apparently awful. Plus, current and former staffers and others close to the team expressing serious concerns about Pelinka's credibility. There's a LeBron James angle for sure. Many inside the organization had issues with the involvement of James's agent, Rich Paul, who was not only allowed team access, but was said to be critical through back channels about Luke Walton. Magic Johnson's attitude also an issue throughout his tenure in the Lakers front office. Staffers described him as using intimidation and threatening tones to show his authority within the organization. Here's Johnson responding Tuesday.
You can judge me by trades I made. You can judge me by I didn't have enough shooters. Yes. Did I do some things wrong? Of course. And I admitted those things. I'm not a guy who's going to run from the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth. And also, you can talk bad about me. If I did something wrong, I don't mind that. Whether it's on ESPN or other shows, say that Magic made mistakes, because I learned from my mistakes. But I'm going to also tell you what I didn't do. I've never gotten called from Starbucks, from Sony when I had to deal with Magic Johnson Theaters. I can keep going right now. Sodexo, all the partnerships I have, the Dodgers and Guggenheim. Nobody has ever called me and said Magic mistreated an employee, ever. And that would never happen. I'm a guy that will tell you the truth. Now, a lot of Laker employees didn't like that. I held them accountable. That's what my job was. Did I have to fire some people? Yes, because we had to bring about change and get better. It's okay if you want to try to lie on Magic, go ahead. But I know the truth. Jeannie knows the truth, because if I had disrespected somebody, she would have called me in her office. And that never happened. HR would have called me. It never happened. 2 years, never.
Baxter Holmes, it's his story right there. When you hear the disconnect between what Magic Johnson is saying right there and what you reported in your story, you think what?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is a comment from a staffer made regarding the day that Irvin was hired. And this staffer said, I feel like the building would have to burn down for him to lose his job. And it was this staffer's way of describing the power, the stature, the deep ties that Irvin has to the Lakers. And in some ways, the way that staffer, and others would tell me this too, that they feared even going to human resources. And this was mentioned in the article for fear that, standing up to him would do nothing. It would mean nothing. And so him saying that he was never called in HR's office, no complaints were filed, I understand that because I heard several employees describe how much they feared even taking it to that level and what might happen to them if they did so.
All right, Irvin Johnson, Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, they all refused to be a part of this story. They turned down your request. Rob Pelinka's leadership, what was your big takeaway in your reporting on it?
Credibility is an important thing for any manager. With respect to an NBA franchise, the flow of information is so central to team building, to making decisions regarding free agency, trades, the draft, personnel hirings. And if you have somebody at the top in a GM position who people have serious doubts about with respect to credibility and the information is flowing through them, it can really affect things in a lot of ways. And I sense that in numerous interviews with people in and around the organization and around the league with respect to Rob and his credibility.
How does this all affect the Lakers and their recruiting of stars or even other players, even marginal players, to play alongside LeBron James?
I think any free agent that's going to come in, they're going to have questions about, how can I win and whatnot. But given these question marks about different factions, people not on the same page, not pulling in the same direction, I think you have to have a serious question about, are we going to be enough together that we can head in some kind of direction and possibly have success in a brutal Western Conference when LeBron is only getting 1 year closer and, with the considerable mileage you have on his body, you don't know what he'll have left. So I'm sure it doesn't help. I'll put it that way.
There were a lot of wows in this story. The wow factor was high. Is there something in this story or something out of this story that was your wow moment in your reporting? You spent over a year on this.
The thing that will stick with me and stuck with me, I remember the moment I heard it, was talking to a staffer. And this person was trying to describe to me what it was like working in the environment. And they said, listen, when I was growing up, the Lakers were my favorite team. And Magic Johnson was my favorite player. And then I went to work for him. And the person just went silent after that. And that silence, in some ways to me, this may sound cliche, but it spoke volumes because I heard that kind of thing a lot.
That's heavy. The story is heavy. Baxter Holmes is your writer. Check it out on ESPN.com.
Golden State for a 5th consecutive season. They're headed back to the NBA Finals. A historic run for Golden State continues.
You know, 5 straight finals, the historic nature of what that is, kind of crazy to think about.
That's what you play for. This is our goal every year.
We know 4 more wins defines your season, so got to stay locked in.
Kevin Durant will travel with the team to Toronto for Game 1 of the NBA Finals, but he will not play. There he is, getting on a plane to Toronto. Here's head coach Steve Kerr from yesterday on Durant's status.
KD's not playing Game 1. I think we already announced that, and we'll see where it goes from here. This is where, you know, the fact that there's a lot of days in between games during the finals helps us. So we'll see.
Time to welcome in the one and only. I'm going to call him Doc Rivers. I know you call him Glenn, but I'm going to call him Doc Rivers.
Just to annoy him, actually.
He's from Chicago.
Coach, there's so much that's been going on about Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors. First of all, welcome to the show, but I got to ask you this question. When we talk about the Warriors, what type of team do you view them as without Kevin Durant, particularly with all of this noise about how much they're so good without him?
Well, they're still a championship team. You know, they've proven that before. They don't have the supporting cast that they had before Durant, if you remember. They don't have all those guys, but they're still a championship team. They're just not as good without him. Listen, I saw them in the first round, and I saw them with KD on the floor, and they're really good with him. So they're just
how are they different, Doc? Though there's something about them.
But they do it then. You know, when KD's on the floor. You know, Steve Kerr's a smart coach. He gives the ball to KD and allow him to be KD. When he's off the floors, when they have more movement. They have movement with KD as well. Right. I think that narrative out there that they don't have movement when KD's on the floor is not true. They really do, just not as much as when he's off the floor.
It's interesting that you say that because, Magic, I'll ask you, both of you were point guards, obviously. He's a coach, but you were a point guard, is obviously a point guard, Hall of Fame point guard. My question to you is, when you look at this team without KD, what is it that you're seeing from them that makes the Golden State Warriors so effective without him?
Well, you allow Draymond Green to touch the ball more, right? So he gets the quarterback more than he would with KD. And Doc's right. There's no way that Golden State is better without Kevin Durant. I'm sorry. That's never going to happen. And anybody who thinks that is crazy. Now, what happens is the ball moves. You see Draymond will be at the top of the key. Clay and Steph will be coming around 2 or 3 picks. Draymond will decide where he wants to throw it. As soon as he passes, he'll go away and pick for that other guy. And Clay or Steph will come off of him. And it's consistent movement. They know they have to move more without KD because KD you can throw the ball to and he can make his own shot. Those other guys, they get it more on the flow or in a pick and roll situation.
It's the same thing with Phil Jackson and the Lakers with the triangle or the Bulls with the triangle. When Michael was on the floor, the triangle, they didn't run a lot of triangle.
Right.
All right. When he was off the floor, the triangle allowed everybody else to touch the ball and move the ball. That's all they're doing. It's very similar. It's just a different offense, but it's the same stuff.
And last but not least, they run the break more. See, because they know they got to get easier baskets without KD. Yeah. See, because now you're missing that weapon in the half-court game where you can just, the shot clock is winding down, throw it to Kevin Durant. He going to go get you a basket.
Draymond essentially said that. I mean, he said at one point, I don't know which series, I guess the last series, that they can get a little lazy because they know they can just throw it into Kevin, and it speaks to what they know they have. The ultimate weapon, isn't it?
It's a great weapon. It's a great weapon.
All right, so what does this do? What does this do defensively? I mean, we just saw Kawhi Leonard effectively be the head of the defense that walled off Giannis Antetokounmpo and took him out of it. What are the responsibilities going to be now for Kawhi Leonard defensively? Where would you have him?
Oh, he's going to guard Clay, you know, and he'll guard Steph as well. No, I think he'll guard Clay more, you know, but he'll guard both. You know, the thing with Toronto, they have so much length that they're going to be able to switch a lot of stuff, and that guy can guard each guy. You know, Siakam can guard. They have a lot of guys that can guard. So Toronto's going to be able to defensively switch a lot of things that will give Golden State problems.
I think that Gasol won't be as effective in this series. Ibaka going to probably play more, right? Because just what you talk about, his length, size, and his ability to still score. And he knows how to play Draymond. He knows how to play the Warriors. He's played against them. And also, the good thing about it, so has Kawhi. Kawhi has played against the Warriors. So it's no surprise for them. They said, okay, we know how to play against the Warriors. The thing's going to be the key is Toronto's bench, to me, is better than the Warriors.
That's where I was going,
right
Magic,
there.
because, see, forgive me, because I know y'all working out all the time in the gym, you know, running. It's been a while since I've done it. It's been a while, y'all. I guess I'm asking this. Is it appropriate for me to think that when it comes to the Warriors, there should be some degree of concern for your lack of depth? I know we've seen Looney, Bell, Quinn Cook to a lesser degree, McKinney. I get that. But when you talk about the Warriors, you're talking about their core. And if Toronto uses their depth, is there a reason to be concerned about Golden State?
Oh, no question, because when you go to that bench, Toronto go with guys who can score and have been scorers, right? Fred is a scorer. You know, Ibaka can score as well as defend. So I think that they lean on their bench, Toronto, more for scoring than actually Golden State. What Golden State do, they leave a starter out on the court with the reserves.
Yeah, but that's the difference. That's the difference now without KD. See, when we played them in the playoffs, we couldn't wait for one of them to go off the floor.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, we knew we had Lou and Trez coming in. The difference is now without KD, there's only one on the floor. Before, what Steve did was he always allowed two to be on the floor and one the rest. And to me, against a great bench, it makes it difficult to do that.
Well, then that
that's
leads
where
me to
Toronto
this.
comes in. Yeah.
Boogie Cousins has been out since April 15, hasn't played since Golden State's second game of the playoffs against you guys. Do you put him right back in?
I don't know. That's tough. If he's healthy, you're going to play him. I mean, let's be honest, but it is tough. The other thing that we all miss is in our series, all right? By game 4, by game 3, we had to make a switch. We took our 5 off the floor, just like Magic was saying, and we started a 4, Jamaica, at the 5. You think of the next series, they did the same thing. Cantor wasn't playing as much. They start playing smaller, quicker guys. You just said Gasol. He probably won't play as much, and that's what happens. You have to match up to Golden State's movement, and you have to have someone up when those guys are coming off those screens, or they will kill you, and that's what we did.
Magic, talk to me about what it's like leading up to Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And it's two different scenarios. You got a team and a reigning defending two-time champions that have gone to the Finals. This is their 5th consecutive year. You got a franchise in Toronto that's never been to the Finals. Kawhi's been there.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka has been to a final. Kawhi has won a Finals. Yeah. But for the most part, a vast majority of those guys have never gone to the NBA Finals. So what's it like for the two teams going into Game 1?
Well, I think that Golden State, they're relaxed.
Yeah.
They've been there, done that. I think the problem is more with Toronto because they don't know what to expect. Now it's more interviews. There's more ticket requests. See, outside obstacles might hurt Toronto. And I'm talking about just everybody pulling on them, everybody wanting something from them. Where Golden State, they said, you know what, we've been there, done that. We take care of our tickets ahead of time. We don't let our families come and bother us during this championships because their family has been through it. So I worry a little bit about Toronto being their first time. But I will say this, I'm worried about Golden State on that first game because I'm going to actually pick Toronto to win that first game.
Rust, right, Irvin?
9 days, come on. One thing that you love as a basketball player is this, staying in a routine and rhythm.
Yes.
And when you haven't been bumped, Doc, tell them, when you haven't been bumped on your shot, that first time you get that bump, you're off and the ref's not calling it, you miss every single time.
Yeah, and you can't do it during practice.
No.
Like the times you win early and you get all that rest is great. But just the routine, being out of it, and the intensity, it's even worse for a rest in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because when you jump back in the playoffs, it's not jumping back in the regular season at the All-Star break. You're meeting a team that has been in playoff intensity, and you've had 9 days off. That's a lot of offense.
So isn't this why, didn't Pat Riley take you all to Hawaii for like a camp?
Santa Barbara.
How did I get Hawaii in my head?
He took us
But he
to
made
Santa
you have a
Barbara.
camp, right?
Yes, and we probably had 3 full scrimmages, games, with referees.
How did game 1 go?
Not too good.
Was that the one they lost by 40? Was that the one you lost by 40?
Well, we got beat by Detroit. We had all that time off. Detroit came in and beat us game 1. Look, if I was Golden State, I would want no time off. They were playing so well. Steph Curry was playing better than I've ever seen him play before. On fire, so relaxed, letting the game come to him. He was shooting outstanding. Draymond Green was making all the plays, averaging almost a triple-double in that Portland series. And I tell you, the guy who really probably got helped with KD going down was Clay.
Yeah.
Clay now knows he's going to get 20 to 25 shots again.
Yeah, the third guy on any dynasty never gets as many shots.
That's right.
You know, Ray Allen didn't get as many shots as he used to. Chris Bosh. That doesn't mean they're not as good.
Yeah.
But there's always a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and that guy doesn't. I was in the same situation as Nick Nurse in a lot of ways. Like when we went and played the Lakers and won the title, we had a bunch of guys that hadn't won. And for me, it was about them seeing that this was part of the necessary dream. So it wasn't about, I didn't want them to think about you're playing in the NBA Finals. I wanted them to think this was necessary to play in the NBA Finals to get to where you're going. And so Toronto, if this has been their goal, this part of it should just be part of the process. And that's the mindset they have to have going.
By the way, the last coach in the Western Conference to beat the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series.
How about that?
That tells you how good. That tells you how good they are.
We got a lot of discussion. We got a lot to talk about this upcoming NBA Finals. Coming up on this Sports Center special, Kawhi Leonard has been straight balling this postseason, but where will his help come from in the finals? Magic, Doc, Wilbon, and yours truly discuss all that and more up next.